bored estate agency bosses. Today I'm joined by Dave Gibbons, who is an estate agent from the Northwest and also a little bit of an estate agency trainer as well. Dave, I see so many estate agency bosses bored and they almost self-sabotage.
Yeah.
They wait for things, they want things to go wrong so they can come back in and firefight. Why is all that? Talk to me.
I think it's down to purpose and direction. I would clearly say it has to be purpose and direction. They don't want it enough a lot of the time.
What's it?
It is the business that they are in. It's become too mundane for them. It's become too boring for them. It's not exciting for them anymore. They've hit a level where they can't seem to get above that next step and put their head above the water in a lot of cases. Now, obviously, this is different for each and individual case, but for the most part, where I find this is down in two things: lack of direction and a lack of self-belief in themselves, which stops them getting to that next level. And all kinds of things like imposter syndrome can find their way into this. Self-sabotage normally comes along where people have found that they've got a goal that they want to get to, but for whatever reason, they're just not finding it past.
Or the business is running quite nicely, it's purring along quite nicely, and they think, well, I've made myself redundant.
Yeah, well, that can happen. Again, it's down to the goals. So if you find yourself you're in that position, you've got two options: either pat yourself on the back and go, well done, you've managed to escape your way out of your estate agency industry, which the majority of people want to do and can't do. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that you've done that, or your goals just aren't big enough. You need to realign with your goals and your direction.
You see, I like to use the analogy of a train, that when the train goes out of the station, it feels like it's going really quick.
Yeah.
But when you're up to full speed, it doesn't feel like it's going quick.
Yeah.
And that's so. And I always say to people, just look out the window and see how quick you're going.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's so we don't see what everybody else sees. We all live in our own individual realities. So nobody ever sees that. And when we're moving along life, we think that this is the normal speed. Everyone's going at this speed. Everybody knows what we know. And unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that that's not the case. But yeah, to answer your question really, really bluntly, you either just don't want it enough, which is your purpose or passion in life, or your goals aren't big enough.
You talk to an awful lot of estate agents, and again, everyone's purpose is different. But what do you think the vast majority of agents out there's purpose is? I suppose it's the way they fell into the bit, isn't it?
It is. A lot of them, it's just money. You hear a lot in estate agency industry, everyone's really passionate about property and this, that, and that's great for slogans on your website. But when you speak to the most part of them, they're not. It's a job. They're just trying to get through. They found an industry where they can sell high level assets and big chunky commissions. It looks hugely attractive for the most part on paper until you realize how difficult it is to build that trust within your market. And once you feel that, it starts to dwindle down a lot of the time.
What if I can't see the wood for the trees and know what my goal is?
If you don't know what your goal is, you're in a bit of a tricky situation, and I would suggest that you seek help from a mentor, somebody above you. But you really need that. This is one of the biggest problems, and it's so overlooked. Most people just don't have the goals aligned properly. You can find somebody who can help you with that, but you've got to know where you're going. And for you to be upset, you'd be happy if you were in a position where you'd found fulfillment. So what you're kind of saying there is you've just found a dead end. You don't really know where to go. You don't know what to do about it.
We talked in a previous video about setting a North Star, because if you
Correct.
know what, and so you almost make yourself redundant from the business.
Yes.
It's about finding what you want and then going
100%.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a bit of a story going around if you've listened to this clip or podcast or anything that I've been on before. The thing that rings through with me is set your goal. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to fumble around like an idiot for a long time until you figure that out.
Do you think there's people out there that probably don't even know what their goal is and end up retiring?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's really, really Well, I know it happens a lot of the time.
And when you've got a goal, what apart from being happier and more fulfilled and having a better mindset,
Yeah.
it sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
What else am I going to get?
You'll get everything you want. It depends on your goal. It depends on what you want for your goal.
It is as simple as life of knowing, right, I'm doing this because of X.
Yeah, that's it. We overcomplicate it because of X, Y, Z. We think that there's tons of barriers around us, and there's not. There's only our.
Have you always felt this way, or did you have an epiphany years ago? Because I mean, I've met you before. I knew you were good, but I didn't know you were this good.
Right. Okay. So I was the underdog. I grew up in the council estate. I went to the posh school. And the only reason I got in there was because of a family relative that allowed us to get in there. Luckily, my mum's uncle was the local mayor that managed to get us into a good school. But throughout the school period, I was probably the scruffy one from the council estate, and I didn't have all the nice things, and I knew that I wanted all these nice things. So I learned at a really, really young age, I learned a lot about grit, determination, and goals. I knew what I wanted, and I knew exactly how to get it. So I just kept going for it. And that's been my philosophy ever since.
So the fact that you came from a council house has actually done you a favour?
I believe it's been the biggest attribute to who I am today. Yes.
If I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, where do I get that passion and that drive?
You need to find something that you find tough. It's really difficult, actually. It's one of the things that I struggle with now. I'm not necessarily rags to riches, but I do all right nowadays. And I treat my kids in a completely different way to the way that my parents did. And I'm starting to see now with them.
Yeah, how are you doing sure that your kids aren't silver spooned?
This is the hard bit. So how I'm doing it now is I'm trying to make it as loving for them, the environment, a space that they can grow and they can fail. A space that's not very necessarily easy, so they don't get handheld money all the time. They don't get everything given to them all the time, and they have to earn it, work for it. And I'm trying my best. But one of the things that I found is that, yeah, my kids don't have the same drive that I do. They really don't. They have they've got a lot of the good attributes that I've got, but they don't have the same drive.
It's funny. I talk to an awful lot of members of the British Asian community, and what you tend to find is that the first generation that came over in the 50s and 60s, hugely driven, built huge portfolios. Second generation, not as good but still driven, but third generation, lazy shits.
Yeah, it's into us, Chris. I mean, our internal system, our ego, if you like, is basically a security system. Yeah, that security system will keep you away from anything that is fearful. Anything that is fearful can also be anything that's uncertain. If you don't know it, then you're going to be uncertain. If you're uncertain, you're fearful. So we're walking around the world every single day, navigating fears. That's all we're ever navigating. And the more of those fears you can push through, the stronger you will be eventually at the end. So I believe if you want to really, really be good at something, you've got to have a huge reason why. It generally comes from pain, lower end, and a real reason why you want to get out of it, and then it's direction.
Coming back to what we were saying before, a goal, and then a sat nav to point it.
100%.
And almost what you're saying there is that it's carrot and the stick. You do need the carrot as a goal, but you need something behind you.
You need fuel in the stick.
You need both. You can't just say, because I want...
You can't. Yeah. It's all great and well looking at that and it looks great. But if you're not leaning for that, it tells me that you don't want it bad enough. It's just, you're in your comfort zone.
So actually coming from let's say it's the right sort of way, your upbringing coming from the other side of the canal, as you would say in Grantham.
Yeah.
Because the
benefit.
It was a benefit.
Yeah. I don't know what the other side of the canal looks like, so I may slate this, but I'm imagining it's not as nice as the other side. On the other side, they have the nice houses, the nice cars, the nice lifestyles, the trips to Dubai and all this. And the guys on the other side can see that. You know? So if you can see it, you can see that it's possible. That's a great thing.
So probably as parents, if we're doing quite well, we have to almost have some tough love with our kids.
100%.
Interesting. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.